Here we go. Hello, Hugo.
Hello, Emmanuel.
Nice to meet you, and thank you for being part of this podcast, the RevOps Pooper.
Likewise, thanks a lot for having me.
Thank you so much. So, Hugo, can you introduce yourself a little bit, please?
Yeah, definitely. So I am a RevOps director. I've been working in RevOps/SalesOps for the last 8 years of my career. So it's my world and it's my passion as well in the business.
Okay. Where are you located right now?
I am in London in the UK.
Okay, so you represent the UK part of RevOps.
I am indeed.
That's cool that we have like a lot of people from all the world. Like we had a UK person maybe last month, and like a lot of Canadians because I'm in Canada, but French people as well, and Latino people, which is cool because we have all opinions about RevOps over the world.
Out of
Well, thank
diversity.
you to be here. And quickly, could you describe your job and what does mean RevOps for you?
Yeah, definitely. So I had a lot of responsibilities over the year. If I was to summarize into like main pillars, it's very much around insights and data. So really like reporting on the performance of the business, tracking the KPIs, understanding how things are going for a company, good or bad. It's also around processes, so establishing go-to-market processes to make sure that all the teams are aligned, are following a single way of doing things, again, benefiting to the data. And it's all about systems supporting the go-to-market processes, helping people reducing admin, but also like providing more insight data in order for them to be doing different type of activities like outbounds, like marketing, ABM strategies, and so on.
All right, cool. So RevOps, it's about, if I well understand, it's about like the systems, the processes, and the persons. Can you give us like more details about what you think about RevOps?
Yeah, definitely. So if I was to use a bit of an analogy, it's if you were to look at human body, I would say that RevOps is like the brain of a company. And what I mean by that, in a very good spotlight, obviously, it's like RevOps understands the way companies are behaving and performing. If you want, they understand pretty much all the departments in the company, and it's thanks to that knowledge that they're able to be connecting the dots, like the synapses in your brain, and using the data that I receive from the different parts of the body, like sales and marketing, customer success, and so on, to be providing data, insights, and helping the business move forward. So RevOps, basically center of the web, central of operations, in order to be giving the different teams like tools, data, and support in order for them to be doing things better.
Okay, so you have like quite two parts of RevOps, like revenue and operations. It's to connect all the operations to leverage the revenue. And I like the analogy of the human body. I used to take the analogy of like a house, how build a house, the basis. And after that, you have the kitchen, which is like the sales department. You have the room, which is like the marketing, etc. So, but I like the body analogy. Well, okay, so today we're going to talk more about who are the friends and the enemies for the RevOps people. So my first question for you is, for you, who are in the organization and can be outside the organization as well, who are the best friends of RevOps people?
So my so basically, I don't think that you have like specific persons or roles in a company that are like either friends or foes for revenue operations, but it's more about like the personalities. But to put a bit of a sideline to that, I think that from my experience, good friends of revenue operations would be people working in the CRM team if they are not part of revenue operations. Finance is also quite a good one to be supporting and to be supported by if you want. It helps a lot, making sure that what you're doing is the right thing for the company, and it's kind of helping you also knowing that your numbers are the right numbers. So it helps a lot. But in terms of personalities, the friends of revenue operations are people that are actually trusting revenue operations. So something that I'm sure all of the RevOps would have witnessed in many companies in their career is the fact that a lot of people are going to be interested about what you're doing and are going to see you as an ally, see you as a support if you want to be making their life better, and they are going to rely on you quite a lot, sometimes too much, and you become a bit of like, I don't know, like a side chair if you want, that people can be just coming and just like dumping paper on you and saying, please do that, please do that. But a lot of times it's good to be in that position because people trust you and rely on you to be helping them in the job. So that's type of personality. The other one that is quite important is people are going to be pushing you or supporting you in order to be strategic in a company, to be there, to be influencing decisions. So those people that are going to be like acknowledging, if you want, that you don't necessarily understand all the data. You're not like a BI expert or anything, but you have a RevOps person that does understand the data. So I'm going to bring that person. I'm going to give commercial insights. They're going to give data insights, and together we can move forward to have like a stronger strategy. So those type of personalities are definitely friends of revenue operations.
Okay, this is in type of personalities, which like in an organization you have like different kind of personalities, of course.
Yeah.
In terms of maybe like departments, who the RevOps with who the RevOps need to work in terms of department, and it can be like as well outside the company.
Yeah. So if you look online, everyone's going to give you the same answer for revenue operations. They're going to say you need to work with sales, marketing, customer success. That's the three that are coming very, very often. I agree with that. I think there's a bit more to add to this. I would say that you need to add finance into the mix. You need to add tech sometimes, depending on what your company is selling, because it's going to have an impact on the tech stack that you're responsible for. And you need to have sides like departments that are not necessarily always existing in companies, but like client services, things like sales enablement, if they're not necessarily part of revenue operation as well. All of those are people that you are having to collaborate with. You need to work with them, because whatever you're doing, they will have an impact on it. And if you work with them from the get-go, you can make sure that you are taking them into account and they don't become a blocker. Another example of that would be procurement. If you don't work with procurement, the second you're going to try to install a system, good luck with the paperwork.
I like that. I mean, I like it more or less, but I like the way to include all the finance department in the RevOps. And I feel like sometimes it's quite hard because, you know, finance is well focused on finance, like I don't know, like revenue, etc. But RevOps, it's both, like operations. How can you smooth the operations? How can you help the sales? How can you help the marketing? Like the admin roles, kind of sometimes in the CRM, and you need to please the finance as well. So what's your opinion in that? How do you work with finance?
It's a very good question. So the way it always worked for me with finance is to create a win-win situation if you're with them. So giving something and seeing as a nice guy that we can actually work with in the commercial team, because you always have that friction between like the finance people and the commercial people that don't necessarily like each other in companies. So if you're doing that win-win situation, and that's quite easy sometimes. To give you some examples of things that I've been doing with finance, is when you start taking care of commissions. Finance hate commissions. They hate to have to speak with the commercial people at the end of the month or the quarter. It's when you help them with revenue recognition. It's when you help them with invoicing and all of the billing process as well. And in revenue operation, it might seem like a bit of a shady gray world that you don't necessarily want to be touching on, but it's quite an easy one. And the reason why it's easy is because if you think about billing, it's very much about systems. If your systems are well aligned, you can definitely support finance quite easily because your contracts are there, all the information is recorded in the way that they should be recorded, everything's being sent out to finance, finance can be invoicing very quickly, company receives the cash easily, job's done, kind of thing. Everyone's a winner in the story. When it comes to data, you can be a very strong ally of finance, because if you are rigorous in the way your data is recorded in the system and you have like specific filters in place with your team or your systems to make sure that the data is correct, it means that whatever reporting you're going to do on the RevOps side of things is going to match what finance have on their side. And it makes, again, the life of finance much more easier at the end of the month.
Yeah, when you talk with the data, like obviously finance is on board.
Definitely.
But I feel like sometimes, and like maybe it's personal, but I feel like sometimes it's quite hard to talk about, you know, all the ROI side. Like they really want to have the return on investment, etc. And for RevOps, maybe more about the processes type, it's quite hard to give them like the return on the real return on investment, or maybe to forecast this ROI. So I feel like sometimes they can be your friends, but it can also be your enemies. About
Yeah, they can definitely be a blocker. There's quite a few areas, like you were speaking about ROI. We can also speak about like cost, because revenue operations, especially, is a big cost center, especially when it comes to all the systems we are managing, and people within the team sometimes as well. It is very difficult to say, well, if I'm hiring that person, if I'm onboarding that system, what's going to be the ROI, or can you measure the ROI? You can't really, because it's all going to be efficiencies in the company, which is part of like a stronger solution if you want. It's all about your processes, like working faster or more efficiently, or the data you collect and so on. It's not going to have a direct impact on revenue, and that's something that a lot of people should need to understand a bit more. But it will help step by steps to be improving things a bit more. So yeah, definitely agree with you that they could be difficult working with, which is why you need to check in a company, if you're joining a company or you want to start collaborating a bit more with finance, you need to check if the finance leaders understand the operation side of things. So if they do, it's going to make things much easier. If they don't, it's very much about giving them strong reasons that are usually qualitative reasons, not quantitative, as to why you're onboarding those things, as to why you need those elements. But you're always going to be stuck, if you want, in a bit of a translation gap about, well, I'm onboarding this to be giving that data to the seller. Yeah, okay, what for? What revenue is he going to give to us? It's not that easy. It's about enablement. It's about help. It's about support. So yeah. It's not always a straightforward answer.
All right. Cool. Interesting. Thank you for your opinion. Well, we talked about finance and, of course, like the very basics, department, sales, marketing, and customer success. And you talked about IT as well, all the tech departments. So how can you talk with IT sometimes? Because we have different point of views about RevOps, and we were just talking a bit off camera about the tech part, because a RevOps, it's depends on his job, but it's not always a tech guy or a tech girl. So how can we talk to us, and how can we smooth the conversation, the alignment with the IT team?
So this one is very much like the example that you were giving with finance. It can be a double-edged sword. It can either go right or wrong, depending on what department you're working with. Very often, when I started working with companies where revenue operations or sales operation was the first thing that they were implementing, if you want, the tech world has no idea what we do. They have absolutely no idea. And usually they're like, well, it's those guys in the commercial team, so they're probably in sales, they're probably like, they're generating revenue. Where in reality, we are sometimes and quite often very close to what tech is doing on our side, more on the commercial side, obviously, because we're not developing the product, the website, the services, but we are developing a solution for our stakeholders, which are the go-to-market teams in a team. So usually what I found quite beneficial, if you want, is again speaking with some of the leaders, if you want, in those departments, to be explaining who I am, what I'm doing for the company. Obviously, they will understand about like a part of what I'm going to say. The other part is very much commercial. It's not something that they are being exposed to, but kind of giving them an idea. Usually, there are two ways where it helps with IT and tech. The first one is when you need to connect some of their systems with your systems. So it can be an easy word, it can be a difficult word, and that's when we were speaking about like having people with very strong technical knowledge about like connecting APIs, connecting Apex classes, for example, in Salesforce and so on. But it can be quite a direct one. You have a system, we have another one. There is a direct link between the two. Let's just plug the two together. Kind of give them exposure that you are the commercial tech guy, if you want, in the commercial team. So it kind of helps them to project themselves into the role that you are actually doing, or part of the role that you are doing. Another element that helps a lot with tech, and something that they are usually quite shielded in companies, regardless of the size, is to be giving them insight about what's going on with the company. Because when you're in tech, very often you're in front of your code, you're building the product and so on, but you don't necessarily know what's happening with us on the commercial side of things. By working with us, by speaking with us, you start getting some insights. Well, product works, or actually product, like one of the features of the product is not liked by the clients because we receive that information from the CSM team. And then it's kind of giving them like that commercial feedback about what's going on with what they are building. They can focus on specific elements, so it can influence the way they're actually doing their work. So by doing that, by always, it's the same explanation everywhere. Giving them something in order to expect to receive something back. It's like win-win situation all the time. That's how I think it helps a lot with the tech team.
Yeah, that's a good tip. Yeah, nurture them with what's going on with the products by the users, like the end users, and they will probably give you some help with all the connection tools, etc.
Definitely.
That's good tips. All right, we're going to finish on the last question, actually. We talked about the friends and how to onboard the tech, the finance, the sales, etc. departments. But right now, who are the enemies? I mean, who are the guys in the company saying, hey, RevOps, what is it? And why do I need it? And what are you doing?
So the very first ones, enemies is always quite a strong word, obviously, but it's just to give a bit of flavor. The ones that are going to be difficult to be working with from the get-go are usually your direct stakeholders. That would be sales, marketing. Yes, I am either lucky or they might not be as difficult to be working with. Usually they are quite open if you want to be working with revenue operations. There are people that are very much basing their day-to-day on relationships. So they like having someone that is more like, I'm going to collect the data you've been receiving from the clients, and I'm going to give you some feedback. This is what's going on with your client. So usually not much challenge, but on the sales and marketing side, you basically step into a war that's been going on for like decades between two departments that are very rarely actually agreeing with each other about how things should be done. So then you become the guy that is going to be another voice that is going to be asking them to do things differently. So it's always a challenge to be working with the field sales team and the field sales marketing teams as well, in order to start that conversation about, let's all speak together. We need some sort of a triangle between RevOps, marketing, sales, in order to do things a bit more efficiently. So that's the first challenge, but it's not the biggest challenge that you're going to face. I would say that the biggest challenge in any company is going to be the leadership. The leadership, regardless of which departments we are looking at, if you want, leadership are people that might be crushing your plans like this, that easily, because there's a change in priority, or we want to do something differently, or actually there's this unknown project that we have never been speaking about with you that we want to do right now, and you have 3 weeks to be completing it. And that's something that all of us in revenue operation would have seen, will see, have seen, any tens that you can think about, oh, I need this project and I need it to be completed by X weeks, X month, when it's going to take three times more to be completing the project. This is the biggest enemy of revenue operations, because not only do you need to be working on the project if it's being requested by someone senior in the company, but also you need to spend a lot of time explaining to people, well, these are all the things it's going to take in order to be doing your project. And this is the time each of the things are going to take, which is not always easy to do, depending on the tasks, to understand how long it's going to take and how available external resources within the company will need to be as well to do that. This is definitely an enemy of revenue operation when it comes to.
So that's basically the time.
Yeah, time, but
also and urgency and etc.
Yeah, and lack of efficient use of resources as well. Because when you have a RevOps team, you need to be efficient in the way you're using them. You need to understand that a RevOps team is not a team doing one thing. It does probably 50 different things that you need to understand in how you're actually shaping things and projects in the company. So that's definitely quite an important one. And the very, very last one I can think about is those people that hate admin.
Okay, that hate admin. Okay.
Yes, because those are our best friends, definitely. Why do I need to record that information? It would be easier if I'm using an Excel file or Word document, or I'm recording my notes somewhere else, and so on. Best friends of revenue operations, they are the ones that are actually, I would say, the people that are usually very reluctant to change, as well as trying to have the easiest life possible in order to do their job. I'm a seller. I just need to sell all the time. Well, no, not exactly. you need to record information. And the reason why you need to record information is because in 6 months' time, when your client's going to churn and you won't have any idea why, I'm going to use that data to tell you why they churned. Yeah. Or if your client is like moving to a competitor, I'm going to be using market data to tell you why they are going to a competitor. So they need to understand, and it takes a lot of convincing, a lot of like explaining why you need to do things in order for them to start changing behaviors. So quite a blocker, this one too.
Yeah, you basically need to, to teach them what you're doing and why you're doing. And it's not just for you or for the company, it's for them actually, for for the sales team, for example, give them all the instructions about data. You need to do that and do it correctly, because in 6 months you'll have probably a lot of data, and we could see that your deal takes 6 months to close, for example, and how we can short this time. Then that's quite a go your as we say in French, prends ton bâton de croix puis vas-y. So you need to talk about your job, and that's quite maybe my very last question. How do you talk about your job to your colleagues? So who are you for them? Are you like the wizard of RevOps? Because a lot of RevOps call them wizards.
Yeah, they see us like that quite often. I think it's just because sometimes they are asking us something they think it's going to take forever, and 5 minutes later they have whatever they've been requesting. I think the way RevOps are seen, or the way I'm being seen by my colleagues, is more like an enabler, if you want. Like usually they have business questions, and what I always ask my colleagues to do is that don't try to tell me like, I need that change in the system, or I need that report, or so on. Just tell me what challenge you're facing. What is it that you're trying to achieve, kind of thing. Because I will translate into what you need. If you want, I'm going to explain to you what I'm going to do, but tell me your business solution, not what you think is going to be the solution, because it's very likely going to be something that is not responding to everything that you need, if you want. So having that translator into this is what I need, this is how it should be done within the company, I think it's like a bit of like translation dictionary. That's the way I would describe myself.
Like a dictionary.
yeah, probably a commercial dictionary.
That's cool. That's the first time I heard that. So you're the RevOps dictionary. Okay, cool. Thank you so much. I think we're getting out of time, so maybe we're gonna finish by that. Thank you, Hugo.
You're most welcome. Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot. And I see you guys. See you to the next podcast, the RevOps Pooper. Bye-bye.
Bye.